Hello, and welcome to Azril Ontology. Today we'll be covering Unholy Deathknights. Once again, I'm accompanied by my friend here, Berri.
Hey, Ann, what's up?
And we're going to go over the Unholy Deathknights, and we might mention a few changes that have come in this latest build of the Alpha. Now we'll quickly go through the talents. Me and Berri decided to go with Ebon Fever since we weren't sure where All Will Serve and Ebon Fever will stand. Eventually we believe All Will Serve will be the single target talent, Bursting Spores to be AoE, and Ebon Fever to be... could be Cleave, it could be AoE, we're not so sure. It's all based on numbers and tuning later on.
Yeah, and other talents, all that kind of stuff. But it's an interesting choice.
Then we decided to go with Infected Claws. Infected Claws just applies so many festering wounds. There's just no way you cannot have Infected Claws. It makes the rotation as smooth as possible.
Yeah, I mean, right now you barely have to Festering Strike with Infected Claws, and you can just spend all your runes on Skirt Strike, which is just really quite fun to play, actually. I mean, Pestle and Pustules used to have the runic power increase on it as well, but they took that away. So it's just kind of a slightly less attractive talent now, especially now that you can actually stack the Pustules to 8. That's a new change. So Infected Claw it feels a lot better. And I don't know what the point of Blighted Rune Weapon is, but I mean, there's really no point talking about it.
So I just realized what Pesting Pustules is. If you were to actually Fester 2 times, get a 6, it prevents you from using Fester again. Because you might over-apply Fester.
Yeah, you just lose because the cap's 8.
At least with double Fester, you can go up to 4 and just safely apply the 8 cap. Or if you apply less, you apply less, but at least it's a lot easier to manage.
Yeah, it is.
Right. So next row, we've taken Unholy Frenzy, more pet attack speed, more procs.
Yeah, and again, the synergy between Infected Claws and Unholy Frenzy is really crazy because you get so many wounds out of Infected Claws, and you have so many runes left over that you can spend on Skirt Strike to pop them. Unholy Frenzy is a super cool high uptime. So I mean, right now that just feels really great to play that. In the future, we were actually thinking Castigator could become a lot better because it has that runic power increase in it, so we'll have to see how important runic power is for Unholy. The artifact really buffs that as well, so we'll see. But yeah, with more crit, that means you're going to be getting a lot more damage per Skirt Strike, really. And if Infected Claws is putting enough wounds on, then there's really, especially with higher haste levels and higher crit levels, there's really no point in taking Unholy Frenzy anymore. But so we'll see with gear. I think it has a lot of potential there. And then Clawing Shadows.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting talent, but really only for certain fights where you're not going to be able to Skirt Strike the whole time. Actually, right now it hits for slightly less than a Skirt Strike would, even after Mastery scaling, but it's got that range factor in it, so...
Mobile fights.
Yeah, mobile fights, indeed.
I actually couldn't even take this for leveling, considering you just start off a fight and just start clawing your way.
It's just dead by the time it reaches you.
Yeah. Then we took Sludge Belcher purely for the fact that he AoEs. He has another hook, aka grip. Oh, so good.
Basically, it's 2 grips, and if you know anything about Unholy currently on live, then you know that when it's transformed, it's clawed as AoE damage and 180 degree cone. Well, Sludge Belcher has that, except for that it's a passive aura around him that just does damage to 360 degrees all around him, so it's better for AoE in that way. And I believe it can also keep meleeing while it's AoEing, so that's pretty crazy there. The second grip is obviously awesome, and then, I mean, the other thing is that both the other talents in this row are just terrible. So, I mean, Asphyxiate is channeled, so you're going to be having downtime to stun something. It's quite depressing, actually.
Next row doesn't really apply to this test, but Corpse Shield, we can mention that it has potential to give DKs that soak responsibility in a raid encounter. I don't know, you have to like blow up a mine where you could take insane amounts of damage, or any kind of soak mechanic. It could be various encounters where one person has the immunity and avoid taking lethal damage.
Yeah, so the thing with Corpse Shield is that everyone's been complaining about is that once your pet dies during Corpse Shield, which happens quite easily because you take a lot of damage when you're soaking 90% of your health, and the pet doesn't have that much health, that the pet dies, and then Corpse Shield enforces the 30-second cooldown on like 25% of your damage, basically. So it's really punishing if your pet dies. But the good thing about the Sludge Belcher is that it can basically do the Ghoul's Huddle ability without... Protective Bile it has, which just coats it, just gives it a 50% damage reduction, and it doesn't stop it from doing its damage rotation. So you don't lose any damage hitting Protective Bile, and your pet will gain a lot of survivability during Corpse Shield, so you could potentially macro those together. I mean, they have similar cooldowns as well, 45 seconds and 1 minute. So, you know, you don't have to have a damage loss from Corpse Shield, and it offers some great utility, actually.
Next roll, we've gone with Shadow Infusion. Not so sure about anything else for single. We see Shadow Infusion as the way to go.
Yeah, that is definitely really good for single target to have higher uptime on Dark Transformation. If we're looking at Necrosis, you know, you could imagine that would be good for 2-target cleave, for example, depending on how Virulent Plague is, how the actual explosion on Virulent Plague is always that cleaves is tuned. But if it's tuned correctly, that could really be a damage increase over even more AoE damage from your Ghoul. And the really cool one, in my opinion, this build is Profane Pathogens. They removed a 1-minute cooldown it had before, but it costs 2 runes now. But if you think of a scenario where you have a lot of ads stacked on top of each other, you got disease in all of them, and then you can just spam Profane Pathogens 3 times, I mean, that's going to be really, really crazy AoE damage, and I think it's a really nice way of giving Death Knights some kind of AoE burst outside of the Skirt Strike interacting with Defile mechanic. So yeah, actually quite happy with that change. Feels quite good.
Then we went with Dark Arbiter, even though we're not sure if she's cleaving, because she has her ability called Shadow Cleave. So we might think Soul Reaper might be the way to go, or maybe Dark Arbiter is a patchwork cooldown, and Soul Reaper's nice for switching targets.
Actually the addition of the the addition of the Runic Corruption, if it successfully consumes 3 runes, 3 Festering Runes, is really nice, because it gives you a lot of regen actually there, and obviously it's quite some damage to pop 3. And since you're actually building up Festering Wounds so quickly compared to last build, this build, with a higher cap and Infected Claws being slightly better and Festering Strike applying a few more actually, it actually feels worthwhile to Soul Reap. If it's just a 30-second cooldown, it lets you get rid of some of those Festering Wounds that you're not necessarily going to be getting rid of with Skirt Strike very easily anyway, at current haste levels. So it's actually a nice talent. I mean,
and Defile, of course, AoE.
AoE, yeah, and there's great combination with Defile and Bursting Sores on the first tier, where your Festering Wounds do 20% of their damage to targets around them when they explode, and Defile bursts Festering Wounds, so you know there's a lot of potential there. And also, actually, with the way you're applying Festering Wounds now, you could put them on 2 targets quite easily, just tab target through them, hit your Festering Strike, and then you just get more value out of your Defile. So, you know, I think Defile is a nice talent actually as well.
Alright, and let's give this a little play out and see what it actually looks like in action. So, as usual, you probably want to start your fight with an Apocalypse and an Army of the Dead, and you want to track your Festering Wounds. You just want to Scourge Strike to remove them. If you've dropped, you apply Festering Strike to apply your Festering Wounds. Your pet passively can also apply Festering Wounds, since we've gone through the talent that it gives you that. You transform your pet, obviously on cooldown, keep up your Virulent Plague, keep up your Festering Wounds, and pretty much manage your Festering Wounds. Plan ahead, look at your runes, and plan your rotation around Festering Wounds.
And you can see there, how the Abomination, it just keeps melee swinging while it's also AoEing, so that's really great for Festering Wounds applications as well, actually. Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Kind of feel like the Apocalypse, like I can just rely on that and not a Festering Strike, which completely negate a Festering Strike. I just had a hard time removing the Festering Wounds.
Yeah, the uptime is really great on them. I mean,
yeah. Apocalypse just come off cooldown. I was just like, alright, never mind, I don't have to Festering and just go straight into Apocalypse.
It's nice though, because it makes sure rotation not completely predictable, so you actually have to play a little bit instead of just spam one button the entire fight. You know, you have to, if you don't pay attention, you will get a damage loss. So. And
there's the new Dark Arbiter. Looks kind of cool.
Not doing any damage at this point though. I mean, literally its attacks do no damage, so.
Yeah, but she looks cool, man. That's what matters.
She does look very cool. I mean.
I'll just quickly share what you meant before with the Shadow Cleave. We're not sure if she's going to hit one target or two targets, but later on, once we've established a basis for Unholy Deathknights, I will be doing a beta video. This is a alpha video, or more of a finalized Unholy DK.
Indeed. Also, just a quick pointer, they did actually add rune forging this patch, and we know that it's a 6% heal on proc and 25% increased strength, and then possibly modified by the artifact in some way. But we'll discuss that later.
Tooltip is on the screen.
Yeah. But it's this nice proc.
This is Unholy Deathknights in a nutshell. If you enjoyed this format of having Berri here, please say in the comment section below. Thank you, Berri, for being on the show once again.
No problem, man. Thanks for inviting me.
And this was Zero Ontology Alpha for Unholy Deathknights. Azril and Berri out.
Laters.